In June 2025, something happened that surprised the world. The United States and Israel launched attacks from the air. They used planes and powerful bombs. Their targets were important nuclear sites in Iran. These sites are places where Iran works with nuclear materials, like uranium. The attacks aimed to stop Iran's nuclear work. Soon after the bombs fell, officials from America spoke. They made a surprising claim. They said Iran might have moved a lot of valuable material. This material was uranium, about 400 kilograms of it. Uranium is very important for nuclear energy, but it can also be used to build nuclear weapons. The officials thought Iran moved this uranium before the attacks began. This started a big question. Did Iran know about the planned strikes? Was Iran ready for the attack? Did Iran secretly move the uranium to a safe, hidden place away from the bombs? This news led to many people asking, was Iran more clever than the United States in this moment? Did Iran succeed in saving its important nuclear material, even though its sites were bombed? The situation created a lot of uncertainty and tension. This story will explore these events in June 2025. We will look at the airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. We will study the claim that 400 kilograms of uranium disappeared before the attack. And we will try to answer the central question: did Iran outsmart the United States? It is a story about a dangerous time, about military action, and about the possibility that important things can be moved and hidden from view. 2. Big bombs and missing metal. The United States started a large military action against Iran. It was named Operation Midnight Hammer. This operation targeted important nuclear sites in Iran. These places were called Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Heavy, powerful bombs hit Fordo, which is built deep under rock. Other sites like Natanz and Isfahan were also hit hard by missiles. Right after the attack, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, spoke. He said the military action was a great and complete success. He told the world that Iran's nuclear sites were destroyed or very badly damaged. American military officials also said there was extremely severe damage at all the targeted sites. But Iran quickly told a different story. Officials in Iran claimed that they knew the attack was coming. They said that before the military action began, they had moved their important nuclear material, the uranium, out of Fordo. This news led to many questions. Was Iran more clever than the United States in this moment? Did Iran succeed in saving its important nuclear material, even though its sites were bombed? The situation created a lot of uncertainty and tension. This story will explore these events in June 2025. We will look at the airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. We will study the claim that 400 kilograms of uranium disappeared before the attack. And we will try to answer the central question: Did Iran outsmart the United States? It is a story about a dangerous time, about military action, and about the possibility that important things can be moved and hidden from view. 2. Big bombs and missing metal. The United States started a large military action against Iran. It was named Operation Midnight Hammer. This operation targeted important nuclear sites in Iran. These places were called Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Heavy, powerful bombs hit Fordo, which is built deep under rock. Other sites, like Natanz and Isfahan, were also hit hard by missiles. Right after the attack, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, spoke. He said the military action was a great and complete success. He told the world that Iran's nuclear sites were destroyed or very badly damaged. American military officials also said there was extremely severe damage at all the targeted sites. But Iran quickly told a different story. Iran officials claimed that they knew the attack was coming. They said that before the military action began, they had moved their important nuclear material, the uranium, out of Fordo. They stated that they had taken it to other places that were safe and hidden. Pictures from space seemed to support Iran's claim. These satellite images, taken in the days just before the attack, showed groups of trucks and large vehicles moving near the Fordo site. This activity suggested that Iran was busy moving things away very quickly. A few days later, officials from the United States and Israel carefully checked the situation after the operation. They looked closely at what remained at the sites. They had to admit that a large amount of the uranium was missing. This was around 400 kilograms of uranium that was enriched to a high level, close to 60%. This amount of material is enough for a nuclear weapon if it is enriched higher. It was believed to be stored mainly at Fordo before the attack. Now, United States officials said they did not know where this important material was. So, big bombs hit the nuclear places, but the main ingredient for a bomb was not there anymore. This left many questions. 3. The days of the attack. The period around the attack was filled with intense events. It started in the middle of June 2025. First, Israel conducted military strikes. Israeli aircraft targeted several locations in Iran. Iran responded swiftly. Just a few days later, Iran launched ballistic missiles. These missiles were aimed towards Israel. They caused damage near a city. After these initial exchanges, important signs were seen from space. On June the 19th, satellite images revealed many trucks lined up near the Fordo facility. Fordo is a significant site for Iran's nuclear activities. Analysts who studied these pictures suggested Iran might be moving materials away from the site in a hurry. The United States then made its final preparations for a large-scale strike. On the night of June the 21st, moving into the early hours of June the 22nd, the main air operation began. The United States military named this plan Operation Midnight Hammer. They used a combination of aircraft and missiles to attack Iran's key nuclear facilities. Fordo, known for being built deep underground, was a primary target and suffered severe damage. Following the strikes, President Donald Trump spoke publicly. He declared the military action a great success. He told the nation that Iran's nuclear sites had been effectively destroyed or damaged. However, Iran quickly presented a different view. Iranian officials claimed that the Fordo site had been emptied before the American attack. They announced that they had moved the sensitive nuclear material to safe, undisclosed locations. Iran also strongly condemned the United States strikes. They called the attack an illegal act of aggression against their country. During these critical days, the international community expressed serious concern. Many countries around the world urged both sides to stop the military actions and seek to calm the situation down. The United Nations and the European Union called for de-escalation to prevent the conflict from growing larger. United States and Israeli intelligence officials studied the results of the strikes. They looked carefully at satellite imagery to see the impact on the sites. They confirmed that the buildings at Fordo and other places were heavily damaged. But they also confirmed that a large amount of special uranium seemed to be gone. Reports indicated that approximately 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium was missing from the site. This type of uranium is near the level needed to make a nuclear weapon. Officials had to admit that they did not know where Iran had taken this valuable material. Iran continued to state that their nuclear assets were secure. They claimed that the attack did not take away their knowledge or their ability related to nuclear technology. Some reports mentioned Iran discussing closing the Strait of Hormuz as a protest. The sequence of events during these days, from the initial strikes to the discovery of the missing uranium, suggested that Iran may have had warning of the coming attack. It appeared that Iran had a plan ready to protect its most critical nuclear substances before the bombs fell. The world watched these developments closely, waiting to see the next actions from Iran and the United States after this period of military conflict and the confirmed disappearance of the uranium. The situation remained tense and uncertain in the region. 4. What world leaders said. After the attacks, leaders from different countries spoke about what happened. Their words showed very different ideas about the result. In the United States, President Donald Trump was quick to talk about the success. He used his social media page to share the news. He called the military action a spectacular military success. President Trump also claimed that the places where Iran worked on nuclear materials were completely and totally obliterated, meaning fully destroyed. The U.S. Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, gave more details. He said the military action was a precision operation. This meant it was planned carefully to hit only specific targets. He also clearly said that the goal was to stop Iran's nuclear work, not to change the government in Iran. The U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, focused on the nuclear material itself. He said the main focus was on the nuclear fuel, referring to the uranium. He stated that the U.S. government would work in the future to deal with that material. On the other side, Iranian officials strongly disagreed with the U.S. view. They said the strikes were against international law. They promised that Iran would fight back. Iranian state media reported that important nuclear materials were moved to safe places before the U.S. bombs hit. A senior advisor for Iran, Ali Shamkhani, wrote online that even if the buildings were damaged, Iran still had the enriched materials, the knowledge needed, and the strong will to continue. He stressed that Iran had the right to defend itself and promised there would be more surprises. Another official, Abbas Araghchi, said Iran would think about all possible ways to respond. He also said that talks with other countries would not happen again until Iran had responded to the attack. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAE, Rafael Grossi, added an important point. He said that IAE inspectors had last seen the main amount of uranium about 1 week before the attacks. He also said that Iran did not try to hide the fact that they had protected this material. This information supported the idea that Iran had moved the uranium to protect it before the strikes. So, the leaders in the United States said their military action destroyed Iran's nuclear sites. But Iranian leaders said they had saved their valuable nuclear material. The statement from the IAE leader seemed to agree with the Iranian claim that the uranium was moved. This showed that the situation was complicated and people had different ideas about the real effect of the attack. 5. Why this happened. The time before the attack was very tense. There were big problems between the United States and Iran. These problems were a main reason for what happened. The tensions were very high. One big issue was Iran's nuclear program. Several years before, in 2015, there was a special agreement called the JCPOA, or the Nuclear Deal. The United States and other countries made this deal with Iran. It put strict limits on Iran's nuclear work. It was supposed to stop Iran from making a nuclear weapon. However, under President Donald Trump, the United States left this deal in 2018. This was a big change in policy. After the U.S. left and put strong economic pressure on Iran, Iran started to do more nuclear work again. They began making more enriched uranium. Enriched uranium is important for nuclear power plants, but it is also needed for nuclear bombs. Iran increased the level of enrichment. By early 2025, Iran had a lot of uranium enriched up to 60%. The source text mentions around 400 kilograms of this material. This level is very close to what you need to make a bomb. Iran also used newer machines called advanced centrifuges, which helped them enrich uranium faster. The United States government became very worried about this rapid progress. American intelligence watched Iran closely. They feared that Iran was now very close to being able to build a nuclear weapon quickly. This fear was the main reason for the U.S. military action. The United States government decided to try and stop Iran's nuclear work with force. They planned a secret operation called Operation Midnight Hammer. The goal was to damage or disable Iran's main nuclear sites, like Fordo and Natanz. Fordo was a key target because it was known to hold much of the highly enriched uranium and was built deep underground to protect it. The U.S. aimed to hit the nuclear facilities, not to change the government in Iran. The situation in the Middle East was already dangerous before the U.S. strikes. Israel, an ally of the United States, had attacked sites in Iran in the days before. Iran had fired missiles back at Israel. This exchange of attacks made the whole region very unstable and tense. The United States decided to join its ally Israel in striking Iran, seeing it as necessary to stop the nuclear threat in this escalating situation. Many countries around the world watched with deep concern. They were worried that the fighting between the U.S. and Iran could become a much larger conflict, a major war in the Middle East with terrible results. The main reason for the U.S. attack was the strong belief in Washington that Iran was getting too close to having a nuclear weapon very soon. This, combined with the existing high tensions and attacks happening between Iran and Israel, led to the decision for Operation Midnight Hammer. The U.S. wanted to stop Iran's nuclear work with military force because diplomacy seemed stuck. This is why the attack happened in June 2025. 6. How did Iran move the uranium? Moving a large amount of special uranium is a very difficult task. We are talking about 400 kilograms. This amount of enriched uranium is very important for making a nuclear bomb. Many experts agree that 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium is enough material to build at least one nuclear weapon. So, moving it secretly, especially before an attack, is a big deal. The International Atomic Energy Agency, also called the IAEA, is a group that works to make sure nuclear materials are used peacefully around the world. IAEA inspectors visit nuclear sites to check on materials. The head of the IAEA said that their inspectors last saw this 60% enriched uranium at sites like Fordo about 1 week before the big strikes by the United States happened in late June 2025. This means that Iran likely moved the material in the days just before the attack. How did Iran manage to move so much material? The uranium is not stored as a simple solid metal or liquid. It is stored as a gas called uranium hexafluoride, UF6. This gas is kept inside strong, heavy metal cylinders designed to hold this specific material safely and securely. Moving 400 kilograms of this gas means moving several of these heavy cylinders. Each cylinder can hold a certain amount, maybe 30 to 50 kilograms of the enriched gas. So, to move 400 kilograms, Iran would need to transport around 8 to 15 of these heavy cylinders. These cylinders are too large and heavy for regular cars or vans, but they can be easily moved using trucks. Transporting nuclear material in strong cylinders by truck is actually a standard way to transport it safely, according to international rules and practices. So, Iran had the necessary type of containers and the right kind of vehicles, like trucks, to do this job. We have evidence that trucks were used. Satellite pictures taken from space in the days just before the strikes showed unusual activity at the Fordo nuclear site. These pictures showed a line, almost like a convoy, of trucks near the entrance of the facility. Analysts who study these satellite images said that this looked like a rushed effort to move materials away from Fordo very quickly. Iran itself claimed they moved the uranium to a secret location. They said this was a safe place to protect their important nuclear material from the bombing attacks. They did not tell the world exactly where this secret place is located, but officials in Iran stated clearly that the sensitive nuclear material was secured and moved before the attack began. The fact that the 60% enriched uranium, believed to be around 400 kilograms, was missing from sites like Fordo after the strikes strongly supports the idea that Iran was able to move it out successfully. Moving 400 kilograms of enriched uranium is not an impossible task. With strong, heavy cylinders designed for nuclear material and using trucks with careful planning, it is a feasible job. The satellite pictures showing trucks at Fordo in the crucial days before the attack fit this picture perfectly. It shows a possible method for the movement. This successful movement of the large uranium stockpile is a very important part of this story. It shows that Iran was prepared and perhaps expected an attack was coming soon. They took steps to keep their main nuclear material safe from the bombs that fell. Even though the nuclear buildings might be damaged, having the uranium means Iran still has the most important ingredient for a bomb later on, if they choose to build one. The world is still trying to find out exactly where this material is now hidden and how secure it is. 7. What smart people think. After the attacks, many people gave their ideas about what happened. Experts in the United States and Israel looked at the damage. They believed the strikes helped. They thought the military action made Iran's plans to make a nuclear weapon slower. But people in Iran saw things differently. Iranian officials said the attacks were not a total success for the United States. They felt it was a victory for Iran because they had moved their important nuclear material to a safe place before the bombs fell. They said Iran still had the knowledge to work with nuclear materials. Experts who work to stop the spread of nuclear weapons were concerned. They looked at the situation and worried. They said Iran still had the special uranium. This uranium could be used to make a bomb. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Mr. Grossi, also said that Iran protected its nuclear material and moved it. Some people who study global problems said that using military force like this is not always the best idea for a long time. They thought that bombing might not fix the problem completely, especially if Iran still has the uranium and the knowledge. They argued that other ways, like talking and checking carefully, might be better in the end. International thinkers also looked at the situation. They said there were big risks. They worried that the fighting could get worse between Iran and other countries. This could make the whole region and the world less safe. They said that peace and steady conditions around the world were now harder to keep. President Trump had said the mission was a big success, but these experts saw many difficult problems still ahead because of the missing uranium. 8. What this means for the future. The attacks happened, but now a big question is here. Iran might still have the main material needed for a nuclear bomb. This material is important. It means the problem is not finished. This event shows something new and worrying. It shows that a country might be able to hide nuclear material. This makes international rules harder to follow. It is hard for groups like the IAEA to know where all the material is. Because of this, tensions in the Middle East will likely get worse. Countries in the region might worry more. They might prepare for conflict. This is dangerous for everyone. The world's economy can also feel this. When there is tension in the Middle East, oil prices can go up. This happens because people worry about the supply of oil from that area. This situation also makes the old ways of stopping countries from getting nuclear bombs less strong. It is harder to stop a country if it can hide important materials. So, what happens next? Talking is very important. Also, checking carefully is needed. People around the world are watching. They want to see what Iran, the United States, and other countries will do. The future is not clear. Will diplomacy work, or will tensions grow more? How do you think countries can stop the spread of nuclear materials in the future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.